This is
Yeah, this is StreamYard.com. It's a great platform. Welcome to the I Don't Active Health Show with your host, Khalil Smith. I got my guest, Anthony King. He's an amazing man, the owner of Brands That Breathe, and I'm ready to get right into it. At the end of this show, I'm going to ask him 5 things an entrepreneur can do to start a brand. So stay to the end and let's go into the introduction. Welcome back. And welcome to the I Don't Active Health Show with your host, Khalil Smith. How you doing, Anthony?
man. I'm just vibing off of the intro music.
I try to make it calming. I like to have that calming feeling. It's like when you start your day, listen to some Mozart or do something that stimulates your mind.
Absolutely, especially with that chakra stuff in the background. You already know it.
I'm getting into that spiritual. Somebody told me I should start doing meditation in the morning and start doing that as a service because
Oh,
they
you
like my
should.
voice.
Absolutely calm, introspective. Get it in. Started with the inside out.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting your manifestation on. Absolutely, man.
I'm all about the mind and the body, but then they started talking about meditation. I'm thinking about the soul now. So I'm like, let me learn more about chakras and get into it. I had somebody send me a book. I'm like, let me read it and then get more knowledge on it.
I think I know one of the foremost chakra experts and just self care experts in the Maryland area. Her name is Ava Laura. She's one of my clients too, but a really good friend. And just coming from the mindset space, self help, uh, taking care of your inner self space. I think we're all missing the ball. We're missing the ball.
And
We
it's
got to
all
pick.
about having a complete life. To mind, body, spirit, like just being complete in all aspects, not being 60%, 50%. Like you gotta strive for all of it so you can feel complete.
Absolutely. I think it's funny when you start to think about the psychology of progression. It's like if you don't, if you're not in peace on the inside, you don't have the motivation or the energy to strive and just kill it on the outside. Everybody has dreams, everybody has desires, but then at the same time, if you don't have the energy and the peace inside to kind of step out of chaos and just go and attack it. You don't
That's
have the
funny you
energy.
say that. Yeah, I was listening to a doctor earlier today. He was talking about everything comes from within, like healing your body, like people healing themselves from disease in other countries without the medication, doing it like holistically, but just believing. Like if you don't believe you can do it, then that's
Woo.
kind of hard for your mind to kind of your brain to wrap around it. Because like our body can heal itself, like wounds. Like if
Mm,
you think you're gonna deteriorate, you may just deteriorate and die. But if you think you can heal.
man, whew, man, I tell you, it's funny. A short story. My daughter, she had a thyroid condition, and so we were at the time we were like the medicines that they were trying to give us. It would take away from all the work that we put in to make her an awesome person. And so depressional type things, suicidal type things, that side effects, disassociation. And so, I decided, you know what, we can heal her ourselves. And so, just speaking that out started the law of attraction to bring that to me. Long story short, I'm never really ever on a bus. I was on a metro bus going to DC, and I just happened to sit by someone who was talking about Dr. Sabi and CMOS. Never heard of this guy ever. I'm like, you know what? I would love to hear more about him. She told me everything about Dr. Sabi. I was excited. Inner healing, core health, all that stuff we know about Dr. Sabi. And so all I knew was I spoke intention on this side and saying we can, like you're saying, we can heal her from a holistic space, and then bam, that person comes right there, and it just keeps happening over and over, over and over. You believe that you can do something, you can do something. You just got to push.
Exactly, exactly. Like if you start looking for what you want, you can start seeing it more option. I mean, more often. You're gonna see the opportunities. Like
Yeah,
let's say you want to be a millionaire, you're gonna start seeing those connections, the people who have it, the people
yeah.
who are going that directions. You're gonna see it more often because that's what you're looking for. If you're not looking for it or asking for it, it's gonna be hard to find. You're gonna
Mm,
start seeing the books, the people, all the resources.
mm.
Like
It's funny.
I read that in the book, and it was just talking about believing. So
Yeah.
I feel that's powerful.
Well, I think when you talk about what I'm learning on the happy road to millions, audacity is a really big deal. Having the mindset to kind of to say what you want, to claim what you want, and to put yourself in a position to have the infrastructure to take on the weight of what you want. And so, it's different from when you're saying, um, you're a you're you do training, fitness training. You start out at um, uh, $65 a session, right? And then you look over here, you're saying, hold on, this person over here is making like $500 a session. These people are paying astronomical prices for the same workout that I'm putting these people through. And it pairs to like the audacity to ask for what you want, but then also aligning yourself up mentally to ascertain to what you want on the inside. You're telling yourself, "I'm worthy of this," and so that mindset, and then that mindset to reflection is a big deal. And so I just that's what I've been really noticing about Uber successive like successful people. They are very audacious. They don't peer back in their
Yeah.
dreams. They're going to say what they want. They're going to dream big, and then it just happens.
It's all about having respect for yourself. Like you said a big thing to me. Like the am I charging $60? Somebody charging $85. I was listening to Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
a personal development person. Talks a lot of speeches, just like Tony Robbins. He
yeah.
was talking about we all have the same amount of time in a day.
Yeah.
We may be making less than somebody else, but then we may make this excuse, oh, they have more time than us. But that's not true. It's about the value you're giving to this person and asking for it. Because Steve Harvey even said too, you got to ask God, like you got to ask it, and then He might push you through some obstacles that you may try to give up. But you ask for something, it may not come to you right away. It may come to you in 5 years. But you just got to overcome these obstacles, this course,
Mm,
this race, this marathon, so
mm.
you can get what you want.
Whew, man. So this is so good. So a part of that is people want to purchase an experience. They just don't want to purchase a product, but they want to go through an experience with someone, something transformative, and so something that's inspiring. And so you talk about it. What was his name? You just said his name. I love the
Jim Rome, Tony Robbins, Steve Harvey.
um Jim Rome. When you look at his story and you track the different levels of success where he started from, and then trailing to where he is now, like all of the different allegations he's overcome, to just how he started. Um, it's an inspiring story, and so now people want to trail along to something that gives them an experience so that they can connect it to a story so that they can continue to inspire themselves when we all go through those lulls, those energy zapping lulls, and that story and that experience kind of pulls you back. And the way I go through branding is really from a psychology base. It's like, how do you infuse this experience, and how do you give people inspiration by your product so they can remember it? And so, man, hey, I love that. I absolutely
I
love
was just about to ask you, like, talk to me, talk to my guests. I mean, to my audience about the UX design
it.
experience and
Woo!
what you do there for your clients.
Oh man. Hey, look, did we have a good time? Oh
Oh, we
man.
did.
Oh
It
man.
unlocked some gems in my head. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know what I was looking for before I started talking to you.
Hey, look. So I've sat in a lot of big meetings. So when you're inside of branded meetings, high level meetings, what you have to do, you have to detach yourself from your brand. So your brand may have a different signal than the energy that you corely have. And so if you're an introvert but you have a brand that's an extroverted brand, well, the tonal feelings from the taste, the touch, the feel, the sight, the sound, um, the age projection, the adjectives that fuse around, that can kind of contours how your brand should feel. It is all, it could be all different than your core personality. And so if you try to fit your personality and make it your brand, you can drastically overshoot and miss target how you market it. And so when we went through the UX design experience, UX design comes from a 1970s approach of wireframing. And what they used to do is they used to try to develop applications and systems based on how people are going to use it, and then they look at how people use it and they track back to that, and then bam, you have a user proven interface of how people use it. Now as the years started to progress, UX design, or user based design, started to get it rungs in so many different spaces: the art space, the design space. When you talk about interior design, it can be used in different platforms from a user experience first, to then come back to the brand, to then signal back out to the user. And so that's what we did. So we literally made a brand baby out of IDON. And it is the questions that we ask is really challenging. If your brand was a person, what age would it be in its perfect form? If it had a belief, what would your brand's belief be? Um, if your brand is driven to pride, what would those pride points be? On and on. It was great. And so what I love inside of what I do is, as I'm going through that process, I realize that a good majority of people who are developing their companies, developing their brands, starting out, you're not sitting in no type of meeting like that to kind of flush out your brand's ideas or brand strategy. And so when we went through it, even getting to your spirit animal, which really for you, your spirit animal really, it really took over just the brand's focus. And so, in going through that and kind of hearing yourself think about your brand strategy, to think about your brand on a different level, it takes on a different life, and you kind of see how it differs from your personality, but then also how you can fit your personality inside of your brand's personality to attract your customer. But it was awesome, man. I
Dude,
love
it
it.
was amazing. Like before I talk to you, I would never try to describe my brand as a person. Like, how I was shocked. I'm like, what is my brand? I'm over here trying to describe myself. I'm like, but my brand is not me. I'm a,
Hey,
I'm a part of it, but it's not me.
it ain't me. It
It's
ain't
not
me.
for me. So
Now it's funny. So when my competitors, that is something, part of a package that to be honest with you, goes about $20,000 because what ends up happening is now you directly and corely know who you're targeting, how to market to them, and not necessarily how to market to them based on how you feel about it. And so on the top here, it's see, feel, and connect. And so the core thing that you want your customer to do is to see you and to see you like like we had that saying like, hey, I feel you, or can you hear me? And so it's more than just hearing the sound, but it's hearing the spirit behind that sound. And so can your core client or your core customer actually see you? Do they feel you from tone? Do they feel you from texture? Do they the touch, the taste? Do they see you? And then after they see you, do they feel you? Now, is it a part of it? Does your brand have that reflective home feeling that your client, your customer, your best customer should have? Because if you're male centric, then you don't want to have a female based feel. And so then connecting, your brand connecting you get into your words, how your words flow. When Donald Trump, he is. I mean, I know this audience won't say Donald Trump is a genius, but from the marketing aspect, this guy is like a genius savant, something, because he has this poor demographic of people believing that he is just like them and then using their words to pull it's all branding is all self-reflective. So you could brand and sell anything, but it's just you reflecting it back to the customer and back and forth. And so if he could use certain catchphrases from the past and then have those people connect and say, oh, wow, but this guy's saying something off. He's like be symmetric. He don't sound like a politician. He's just like us. He cares about us. He cares about our feelings. All the while, I don't care. I know how to market to you. I want to win. And so I'm going to use these different adjectives, metrics, sites, sounds to win. And so when he went to do all of his you're going out to different states to put on these big events. Most of them were Midwest and lower rung states that had a certain demographic in that space, and they piled up like rock stars, while the rest of the country was looking like, "How are you supporting that?" And so, but he knew who his target was. He spoke their language. He used their celebrities, which some of our brands don't align well with those other entities that influence people. So he used their celebrities, and man, he pitched them like he was one of them. So we could go so deep. I mean, we could go so deep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just like how you said how you broke down the brand, like with your UX design, he did it with the crowd. And that's how he connected with them. 'Cause he knew what they wanted to hear, what they were looking for, what they could relate to, how they felt. Like
Yep.
he hit all those things. Like I felt like you gave my brand a personality test.
Right. And the funny thing is, when you look at how the design looks, there's an animalistic quality that you have to go after, like high impact training. Like you got to have a certain wolf type nature
Exactly.
about you, some animalistic thing. And the funny thing is with you, Corley, when people hear you, your voice is melodic and calm and soothing, and so it doesn't pair, right? until you get down and you start working and you see this regiment though.
Yeah,
You,
that's crazy. Like you said, like my voice is so calming, but then my actions show something else. Like I'm an introvert, but I can run with the dogs and I can run the pack and I can lead the way.
you can run the pack. You run the pack. And so it's a beautiful thing how images and how we connect different symbolic things to make a point. And that wolf makes when you explain Idon and you talk about the Idon way, you talk about the pack, you talk about you can now pull so many angles from the wolf and the characteristics of what it means to be one a pack leader inside of a pack of wolves, but then also to be in the pack itself, not leading, but just being in the pack, how to stay with the pack, what are the pack rules. And so like when you go through your core stuff, bro, it is you hit the nail on, you hit that thing on the head. And so now when you get into how people are transforming their bodies, this the craze now is definitely the boot camp workout, like high, like throwing tires everywhere, ropes everywhere, like parkour type stuff. Well, not maybe not parkour, but that type of stuff that's just like not the normal.
Hmm.
When you go into your brand and people actually go from the what we call the brand journey from one point to the next, and they start to trail through your system, you know, they're either going to be turned on to a pack of wolves or turned off. And the people that's turned off, it's okay. If you market to
That's
everybody,
not your crowd. Yeah,
not your crowd.
you can't please everyone.
And
But
we
yeah, but before we continue, I want to make sure my audience is keeping track. How would you describe a brand, and why do you think it's important to have a brand if you're
mm,
building a business?
mm. um so how you would describe a brand is that the core thing about branding, when you think about it from where it came from in the 1880s, is the searing of that rod into cowhide. And they had to stamp that meat because they had so many fake people with inferior products. And when they stamped that meat, that signified that you're getting this
That's
cut,
how you know it's legit.
it's legit. And so now when you brand yourself, you're branding a emotional memory. And now this emotional memory gets people to come back. It's called the law of delight. And so the law of delight says that what you love, you'll either speak to, and people they'll sing your praises, and retention comes and they come back. And so now the core thing to your brand, or what makes a brand is a brand or company that strives to make their repeatable and memorable so that people can continue to come back. Chick-fil-A is a really good example. You know, we know what is it? It's our pleasure. I think that's the sign off. It's our pleasure. I think when
Oh,
you
I
go,
don't remember.
I think when you go to Chick-fil-A, you go through the drive-through, you get your little food, and they say it's our pleasure or something like that.
I think they do say something like that. Yes.
So now that's in my cerebral cortex, and their lexicon has now made it something memorable, and then it
So
becomes
just like when you go to other stores, when they greet you the same way every single time.
every single time, and they have it's when you're branding your company, you're thinking about the infusion of personality, the infusion of process, the funnel system and how your funnel system connects, and then your onboarding, then your offboarding. And so inside of these, it's a repeatable process. So you're not going to, you're not going to hire. You're going to hire a certain way. You're going to have your company policies be a certain way. It is something that that we, and even in our society now, we are a branded society. And so, you go to Target, you have this toothpaste versus this toothpaste. And so, yeah, the toothpaste on this side costs a lot less. But in your mind, even though this has active ingredients and everything else inside of this other toothpaste, because it's wrapped well, it's branded well,
The packaging.
it's packaged well, you've seen it before, you've seen it on TV, and then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, they're paying all this money for advertising. So they also must put that money into their product. You're subconsciously doing it. And so now when you're talking about a branded company, in today's society, that experience has to be self-reflected through the full process. And so, yeah, when you're thinking about having a brand, or what is a brand, it is setting a tone, that's something that is repeatable, and that feeling also after you experience the brand, it's repeatable too.
Another question, just in case like there's some new brand owner. How do you go about monetizing a brand? Because
Ooh.
everyone want to make money when they start a brand and be successful, or maybe just help somebody, but as well as make money.
Jack Foster, he's a guy who has a book called How to Get Ideas. And so he talks about there's nothing new. There's no new idea. It's just fusing something old with something new. And so more than likely, the company that you're starting, the brand that you're starting, has already had success. Someone else has already had success with it. The easiest thing to do is to back engineer their brand, become a customer of your enemy. See, go through that full process with your competitor and see what their process is, and see what their customer journey is. And so then inside of that, you at least know, if you want to be a speaker, and Tony Robbins, right? So now you go in, and you at least purchase a book, or you go to an event, and you see what goes through that full cycle. And what you say to yourself is, I could be the Tony Robbins to my demographic that I'm trying to reach, because they may not go to Tony Robbins, but because they know you could have that same experience that's repeatable, because you've studied your competitor. You
Oh, you're
read,
speaking my language now. That's what I'm
you,
trying to do. Yeah, I just had somebody who commented like, "I love what you're doing. You're speaking all these positive things,
yeah,
and how you go about your brand, promoting it, in in a positive manner."
yeah,
But people like that nowadays. We see so many negative things, and when things like go our way, we're surprised. We expect negativity all the
yeah.
time.
Negativity. Wow,
So now,
wow.
if it doesn't happen, we're like, oh, we're lucky if something good happens. So somebody thanked me today, like, I appreciate what you do. I'm
Wow.
just posting positive things, telling people to follow their dreams, what hang around people who uplift you rather than talk down on you.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah,
yeah, I hear
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yes, no, we need to hear that. You never know. It's sort of like sowing seeds. Marketing is definitely a seed sowing situation, and if you lace it with authenticity, then you're going to have bigger gains. Like, the more you do it, the more you repeat and do it. Like, we have a T-shirt that says, "If your brand's not marketing, it's not breathing." And so if you're not beating the drum, and if you're not doing it consistently, then it's like you're kind of spinning your wheels. And so now, if people see you consistently doing it, and something happened to that person throughout the day, and they've been seeing your message consistently, at some point it's going to hit, and then they're going to be like, man, he made an emotional deposit into my life, and I felt it. And now, what else is he doing? People start to get curious, And so now you can start a curiosity campaign that is now connected to the when people engage on you on your social. And now, hey, I'm glad I was able to enlighten you a little bit today. This is a little bit about what I'm doing. And so when you hit people in an authentic way, you have more success. And I think what you're doing, you're very consistent, and so you're posting daily. And I think those things have dividends because now when you do your Facebook group and you have your challenges and you have all these type of things that's going on, it's almost like you're hitting people like blindsided, like oh man, he's doing this. Okay, oh man, let me be a part of the Facebook group. And now they got all these health challenges that they're doing. They have they're buying your prepared food product, and they're now working out virtually with you, doing push-ups, pulling other people in because you're putting out all this awesome energy. And so, yeah, I mean, I think when you trail it that way in a world where you just expect negative, if you can be a beacon, you're already winning because everything's already negative anyway. You're standing out in the crowd.
Facts, facts. But I do want to add on to what you said about reviving a brand. I want to talk about that, bringing a brand back to life. All right, for an example, let's say I have a health coaching business,
Mm-hmm.
and we have also health as leisure wear,
Yeah.
but we're struggling right now. What type of tips would you give us, or how would you assess that?
The best thing is to test. A lot of people are leery. Okay, let's say it like this. Um, Not a lot of us are self-reflective. Like we don't want to hear anything negative about anything about us. And so when you do, even though if it's good constructive criticism, we kind of shy away from it. And so the best thing when you want to retarget, because brands do it all the time. Big box companies do it all the time. You see you see like a complex or something like that, say under new management or something like that. They've already understood how the people who they service now want to see them a little bit better because they serve it. And so if you want to retarget and rebrand, the best thing I would say is to reach out to those who were one, either your previous customers, two, socially, who's in the audience of your core demographic socially, and then go out on the street and just actually have some check marks and survey people on the street. The more you hear the same thing about what they're saying they need, then you at least have a lane. I'm gonna tell you who did a really good job with this. The company, the brand company Supreme. When Supreme started, um, they first had an idea, and they just started kind of put their stuff out. It wasn't working, and then they said, "Okay, who is our real core demographic? Who are we really trying to reach?" Well, at that time, it was skateboarders. It was in New York. They had to open up a little shop, and they just kept asking, "What do you want in this shop? What do you want in this shop? What do you want in this shop?" And they kept telling them what they wanted in the shop. It's simple. They purchased what it was, and bam, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it becomes a luxury brand. You have that same shirt. They put Supreme on there, and now you're buying something that's the same, almost the same quality fabric or feel. You're buying it 50%
That's
more.
that's brand identity, huh?
It
Gotta
is,
go with it.
but we don't listen. And so, just as we are in normal terms, we don't listen to who we're trying to be in bed with. And so, if you want to rebrand and retarget, just ask questions, market research, test before you put a lot of money into marketing. Test, and so I would even say, getting subscribing to some. Oh, the word is slipping. You got a group of people, and they. This is so funny that I'm losing the thought of this. A test group. As I call it, a test group. A group of people who get your product, they comment on it, and they do that for a living.
Sound like a survey group or something, or
It's a certain term, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
okay.
Probably by the end of what we're talking about, I remember that. But yeah, I would say go that lane. Do surveys and tests.
Okay, test, test, test. That's what I kept hearing. That's what I took away. How? And I have another question I want my audience to know. What is more important, a logo or the brand story? Because some people struggle with finding a logo, but then sometimes that's not enough. Because I feel like you need to have a story, it has to represent something, so it can be even as important. Because I see a lot of logos, and then I might look it up and may have this cool story behind it, and maybe
Oh
that's what that company or business trying to gear, trying to grow from.
man, that is a really, really, really good question. I've seen it done both ways. And it's a truncated question. There's a company that I'm in talks right now. They are a major developer. Their website sucks. Their logo sucks, and it is they have old money. They got relationships, and so those relationships they don't need the kind of brand because these relationships are giving them a part of that money. However, if you're a starting business, you're coming into a space. It's an interesting thing because it depends on the product, right? So people buy self reflection, they buy stories, and they connect with identity. And so that logo, I would say, if you're going to do something, it's easier to get your story right and have a good story because, you know, when we see a sucky logo and the logo sucks, and, we're already thinking in our minds that, you know, they don't even look like they're doing whatever they're saying they're doing. Now you got third party perception. They looking at you like this is a Cracker Jack. You know what? Matter of fact, I think I saw that logo on online somewhere. And so but what people can't take away from is your story. If you're in the healing space, if you're in the workout space, and you're transforming bodies, I want my body transformed. And you could put wording for your logo, but as long as you're delivering, now that may be something totally different from the apparel space. If you have a product and your product is on the shelves, you got to look dope. There's a customer of mine, awesome person. Her name is Chastity. She has a sea moss business. It's called the Pure Moss, and we develop all of her packaging. So I specifically went to the different stores and I went to them thinking, okay, if her product is on the shelf, we want to one make sure it looks at least in the league, but also because she's a new product, we want her stuff to stand out, and we wanted to shout, "Try me, at least try me." And so that identity becomes really big in that space. So it really kind of depends on like what segment, and legally it may be a little bit different as a lawyer, than you know
So it
something like
kind of depends whether it's a service or a product.
yeah,
Because like you said in the store, you want it to show out, you want it to pop, you want them to be intrigued so they can pick it up. Like people
absolutely,
see with their eyes, they want things with their eyes, the color, the
yep,
texture. Shoot,
yep.
shoot, they might go feel it. They might smell the package. I don't know.
They do,
Like, do
they
this thing smell good?
do. Especially if it's coffee. There's a coffee place I did some branding for in Texas, and so their packaging, right? People, they now again you have to be still similar, and familiar. So they got the little dots on the packaging, and you squeeze it and smell it. But for them, the story is paired with the identity. And so now, like their brand was that we're coffee enthusiasts, and they wanted to explore different ways of making coffee. Now they made their bag like crazy expensive, but the story blended with how it looked. And so you could get it really does depend. It really does. I've seen it go both ways. Like, but it still has to look good though, right?
Sure, yeah.
If you go with a story, if you go with a story and you make your story appealing, easy to read, and functional, then it works. And so I it's tough as an artist. I would always say identity, but as a brander, I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah, I think for me, you got to look good. That's what I get feedback. I think I was wearing a shirt. Somebody said, You weren't selling that shirt to me. When
Wow,
are you coming out with those?" I'm like,
wow,
yeah, yeah, soon, soon.
wow.
Wearing this black Idol Active, but had the rainbow colors. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like it popped out because of the colors and
yeah,
the way it
yeah,
was lined up in the box. Kind
yeah.
of like what Supreme kind of did with theirs fabric, but mine was just like different colors.
And that's funny thing. Like when we were in the backstage and I first came on, man, that jacket is dope, and it reminded me of Run DMC. And so you took me back, and I'm thinking of Grandmaster Flash, and I'm thinking of all these
You see
things.
that's what I want to do. Shit, I want to
Exactly.
like hit a feeling. I want some people to feel it. Be like, shoot, they may be from like the '80s and they might was a fan of DMC, Run DMC, like you said. They might,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, that's dope. Shoot, I
yeah,
could wear that with my Adidas. Shoot, wearing my tracksuit.
man,
Put some Timberlands on that.
man, man.
Started looking
Like,
good.
I was like, man, and look, even like I'm like, it's gonna be summertime, but in my mind, and like I know you said it's gonna be for the winter. In my mind, I'm like, yo, that's so dope though. I was still
Yeah,
rocking
and
the
it's the material light, so it's not even too bad in the
yeah,
summertime.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not thick material.
yeah. And so I think even in that, right? So when you start to market and you think about your language, so how can we get that passion out on the advertisement when your website is a continued conversation from an introduction from some source. And so somebody may have given them a flyer. Somebody may have seen you advertise online. As soon as they go to your website is just an extension of the conversation. And so inside of that, it's like, okay, now how you sound right now. How do you make people feel that when they go on your site? And so that's what I love to get into that space. And so I think when people brand effectively, it's a story and a look. That's a tough question,
Before
man.
we continue, tell my audience what do they have to do? Like, what should they be looking for when they try to create a brand story?
Mm.
Typically,
Typically, again, people want to feel your enthusiasm about whatever it is, right? And so people connect with hardship, hardship and triumph, hardship and triumph. There was something that went wrong, and now something's going right.
kind of like pain and pleasure.
Pain and pleasure. And so this is again, those are two ways that you market. You self-reflect to people's pain and also to their pleasure points. And so now, when you get into uh, the story formation, you're really going to keep repeating that story over and over, over and over. And then it gets to a place where people have heard that same story 11 times, but it's so inspiring, it's still palatable. And so, you know, that people want to hear your humanization. And so if you just put the product out and just put something real janky, real slim, real unthoughtful, well, you're going to get an unthoughtful experience.
Feedback and experience, yeah.
Yeah, and so people want to feel your adjectives. They want to read the beginning. They want to see the denouement, as they would say. Then they want to see the climax to the ending, and they want to see themselves inside of that. And I think, like we were talking about, how there's guys who you've taken from a certain weight level, and now they look a certain way, and people are like, wow, I could see myself in that. But in reading this person's story, but then also reading your passion, how you're presenting that story, your story connecting to that. Like, I know you've always been like body awesome.
Well, not really as a kid. So the reason I got into fitness because I was overweight. My family was kind of overweight, diabetics. My mom had surgery, bypass surgery. I didn't want that life for me, so it kind of like put
Mm,
that feeling in me, like, oh, I have to control this. I have to change
mm,
my
mm,
environment, how I think
mm.
about it. My brother overweight, so like my surrounding was just overweight. I
Hold on.
kind of
So
like
you said I what age was this when you said nah?
probably like I want to say like 13. Like I was overweight like growing up,
Yeah,
like until I got into like in the middle school into high school. I got into sports. I kind of learned some discipline,
yeah,
work ethic. I loved going to the gym for
yeah.
PE, playing sports, lifting weights. That was my favorite thing to do because I can like change my body. I see like what it was doing, how I felt, how I looked. I think Deion Sanders said something like, "You look good, you feel good, you get paid good.
Yep,
Like
yep, yep.
you gotta take care of yourself." Like after that, I was just inspired. Like I had a friend tell me like, "You work out so much, I thought you were gonna become a personal trainer or a health coach or something." Like, shoot, you're in the right field. Shoot,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
what you love to do growing up. You didn't want to
yeah,
go out, you want to lift.
yeah.
I'm like, shoot, you're right, you're right.
Now here's the chicken or the egg, right? And so I love this. So you know, did the passion come for weights before the decision? You made a business decision at 13. You're like, look, I see all this obesity around me. Nah, I want to look sexy. I want to feel a certain way. And then did 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 you lift weights and had a passion for that before, or did the necessity of what you wanted create a hunger for something new?
Good question. Good question. I wouldn't say I had a passion for it, but I kind of saw where it would lead me.
Yeah.
Like I had my ups and downs, like, but that's everything.
Yeah,
That's why when I talk to my clients, I like to have that conversation with them.
yeah.
Like talk, like feel like what feelings are evoked. Why do you feel this way? Why are you going this route? What triggers this? What have you eaten the last 7 days? What were you thinking about eating today? And
Mm,
let's see like where their mind at. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing
yeah.
this? And what are your goals? And do you think what you're doing right now is going to get you toward that person, you in the future?
So I'm getting the ring it in look pretty soon here.
Okay.
I'm running into oh my gosh, our conversations get so good. It
Before you go, I do want to ask you two more questions. What
yeah,
services do you
absolutely.
offer, and where can people find you?
Got it. You can reach me at brandsthatbreathe.biz, and also socially with Brands That Breathe. And so, what we say all times, we bring your brand to life. We make your brand breathe and feel and all that happy stuff on the inside with your customer base. And so, we bring a very regimented approach to getting the same feel and the same look every time with all of our customer base. So our clients know what to expect, and we know how to get the best out of your brand, and we have a lot of fun too. A lot of fun. I love
I
I love my
agree.
clients.
Yeah,
I love
I
my
second
clients.
that.
I love my clients, and so yeah, man. And we have something coming up with, man. You talk about rebranding. the whole psychology of what we were doing now is contextualized and changed
Yeah,
a
I
little
know
bit.
it's a process, but
So
before
yeah,
you go, I do want to ask you something that I already promised the audience in the
yeah.
beginning. What 5 tips would you give to someone that is building a brand, starting out from nothing? They at
Five.
their 9 to 5, but they have an idea.
Um, make sure your brand feels a passion. Make sure your brand feels a need. Make sure you know the purpose of of the approach of your brand. Um, make sure you have a strategy and make sure you test. I didn't write those down, but those are the 5 things I would say. And then when you get into it a little bit more, test, test. If you hear anything I say after today, test, because when you jump out there and you think it's dope and they don't, and you've put like $10,000 into merchandise, or you put two
Uh,
thousand dollars. I know. And as a PSA to my people, we don't test, and so I would say test as much as you can before you put a lot out. Also, when you're marketing, invest in your marketing and invest in your branding. It will come back. It definitely will come back, because if you're using an approach to try to squeeze as little out as you can, and you want that little to make a reservoir of water that you can live off of, more than likely it's what you put into something is what you get out. And so um yeah,
I
I mean,
appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I do want to ask you. I do got to do like 2 questions from the I don't active health show round.
yeah,
I call this the active round. I don't
yeah.
active. So, what is your passion? What is your purpose in this world?
Whew, my good gracious. Wow, my purpose. This, oh man. Okay. My purpose is to help people fulfill fulfill their brand identity. I mean, I get a kick out of that. And then also, my purpose is to help people. I love connecting with people, and so people and people's brand development.
That's major. We need it. I know I needed it, and I still need it. Second question. This
Yes.
is about stress of the body because I'm a health coach and I like to talk to you. How do you lower your cortisol levels? Because sometimes we wake up angry and we don't know how to go about it, and
Yeah.
if we leave it there, our whole day is horrible.
Run 5 miles.
That what you do in the morning?
Man, so let me think about it. I used to walk 5 miles. I have trailed back. I need to start go back now. My happiest time was walking, and so I could feel the energy and the blood circulating. Um, that was my jam. So yeah, man, I would say that's it.
All right. My last question for you is: what are some workouts you like to do to stimulate your mind and your body?
Uh,
Because working out lowers anxiety.
yeah,
It's like it helps you be more creative. It
yeah,
lowers your insulin levels.
yeah. I run in place. I
Run in
actually run.
place.
I
Okay.
run in place and I jump. Um, Man, that this is nothing to do with this, but I sing all day long. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
I literally sing all day long, literally. And people who are around me all day long, they
Yeah,
probably hate it.
I bet you
Um,
have an amazing voice. But I want to say a thank you to you, Anthony. I thank you for coming on the Eye on Active Health Show. I know my audience loved it. I hope that they take those tips that you said, wrote it down, and they're going to engage and do it today. If you like this show, like, comment, and subscribe below. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. It was a blessing to be your host.
all right, have a blessed one, guys.
You too.